How's it going, internets? I hope you're having a lovely day. It's that time again. It's time to get into some animation. It's time to get that creativity rolling. It's time to get that imagination run wild. And it's time to get inspired. And today's inspiration comes from Zdenek Burian. Now, I probably am saying that wrong, but he is a phenomenal artist, probably best known for bringing kind of the caveman illustration world to the next level. He did a bunch of stuff with dinosaurs and pre-civilized man drawings. No, not just saying like the time period, not that the drawings were uncivilized, they're beautiful. This is a couple of his illustrations here from some of his work that he did with Jules Verne as well. And I will link to more stuff in the description. But I think he is a very underappreciated, beautiful artist. There's been an interesting thing going around sort of recently that shows his drawings next to some Frazetta illustrations, and there's some very similar correlations to the layout and the design styles and choices, which could completely be a chance. But a lot of people think that he might have had a large impression on Frazetta as well, who is a huge inspiration of mine. But I think his works are just beautiful. There's a real grace to his line work and his painting style that you can see there's no real harshes with this. It's very, the tonality of it works really well. And great layout and composition and strong anatomy, of course, as well. And very imaginative in all of his work. I really like this one with the hippos. I thought those were really fun. Really interesting layout there as well. So definitely check out more. I will throw a link to more of his stuff down below in the comments. But I wanted to share a quote with you guys that's attributed to him. I believe he's Czech. I could be mistaken. So it's a translation. So here goes. You know, a painter, as well as an actor, must be able to experience all the adventure of his drawings in his imagination. If he wants to paint a horse that swims the rapids, he must be on that horse for a while. And I think that's a totally amazing and wonderful depiction of the creative process, that the imagination is one of the most powerful keys for creativity. I find the more that I get into animation or illustration, the more that I'm able to really build it in my mind before I even get to paper or to the computer or anything, that I have a better grasp on what it's going to be and what I want it to be. And it's now more of a blending of trying to get the final project more like the imagination rather than sitting with a blank piece of paper and hoping the imagination comes out there. It's more build it all, or as much as you can in the imagination, and then try and replicate that or bring that out and share that with other people. And it's that connection that I think is really prevalent in a lot of wonderful artists and creative people, is that style of imagination. We were talking a while back, a few videos ago, about the thing that makes your work extremely unique is the imagination. It's that one aspect that no one else can have that same imagination as you. So it's a unique thing that you should really try and utilize as much as you can. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into some animation for today. This is the Ultimate Ball Rig. It's a free rig you can grab from Bloop Animation, where I will link in the description below if you guys want to try out this rig. And if you're not familiar with what we do here, we give ourselves 48 frames. It's 2 seconds of animation. I go off and I find a rig that I've never used before. That's a free resource for you guys to play around with as well. And we kind of go from there. A little bit of over the shoulder, hang out with me while I animate. A little bit of instruction or guidance or talking through the process. But most of all, the main goal of these videos is to encourage you guys to continue to follow your journey each and every day, to inspire you to go off and create something new, whether it's because we talked about something and you got an idea through that, or because you disagree with the way that I did it, or you had a better way of doing something. Whichever it is, my main goal in doing these each and every day is to hopefully encourage you guys and inspire you guys. So let me know if you end up using this rig, or if you guys did something creative today. Definitely share it down below so I can give you some encouragement and some feedback or anything that you guys would like with it as well. So that being said, let's go ahead and get in here. So what I was thinking for today is we do a series of little vertical style jumps, pretty much. If you've been following along for the month of November, we've been doing kind of Jump-vember, which is a jump animation every day for the month of November. And today was a little busy, so I just went with a little bit of a ball rig. So I figured that might be a little bit of a shorter frame to do. And let's go ahead and, like I said, we'll do a little series of upward jumps and probably vary them a little bit here. Bring that down. Kind of like a little mountain pathway, upward mountain pathway, we'll think of it as. And it gets a little bit smaller as we go. And let's go ahead and copy that and paste another one. We're just kind of creating a little bit of a basic layout here for us. And I always like to, especially with this Jump-vember, is to try and do some kind of a different style of jump every day. And we also kind of want to set our spacing so that we have a big one, medium size, and then kind of a little one. And we kind of did a little bit of a curvature here if you look throughout that. So that just gives us a generic layout, or basic layout to start our shot with. Let's go ahead and save our file. We are using Autodesk Maya 2014 today for this video, and let's get started. Let's go ahead and set our frame range from 0 to 48. And let's grab this guy, and we'll go ahead and just set our first key there. And let's just build the basics in here. So let's have it hold until about 9 and 18. Let's go ahead and lift it up over to the side here. And we are using 3D space here. As you can see, we had to move in Y, X, and Z. So that'll be something we have to keep in mind as well as we're moving. We'll want to overshoot that a little bit as well. Okay, we'll go there, we'll hold that for, let's say, 3 frames. And let's go 29. Again, we'll check around with our timing and everything and tighten that up as we go. We're just trying to create the basic layout for how we're going to use or set up our shot here. So again, let's go ahead and kick that one in. Go a couple frames above and have it land. Set that. Hold it for at least 3 frames just so we get a little bit of hold there. And actually, let's push it over a little bit more. Let's go to 40. Raise it up. Push it over. And again, we got to work a lot in 3D space for this one because we've got, not only are we going up and down and side to side, but we're also going a little bit of arc as well. So using all of our X, Y, and Z axes for getting this movement in. Go 3 frames above and do a little bit of overshoot there. Okay, so let's look at the basic layout for what we're going to be working with here. So we have 8 frames there. Let's cut this down maybe a frame. Let's cut it again. This just feels like there's too much between there. So let's go Window, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. Now let's cut this down by a frame here. centered. And let's go ahead and give us one more frame. We'll do 4 frames of hold there. 4. We'll bring it in. Now let's start looking at the translate Y's here. Let's do a little more of an overshoot there. A little more there. And a little more. Let's look at our translate X here. Let's ease in and out of the translate X a little more. Get one more frame there. More frame there. And so we'll take our translate X there and push it over 1 frame. And take our translate X there and push that over 1 frame. So that way we have a little more ease in and ease out of those positions. So let's check that now. Let's look at our translate Y here. Let's give us a little more up there. Maybe not exactly that much. Just so there's a little more weight when it's landing. So let's take this one, translate Y there, push it up a little bit more. Again, just so there's a little more weight. It's not so even as it comes down. Okay, and let's look at that last one. Let's look at the translate Y. Again, we're just going to push that up a little bit more so it lands a little bit harder. And let's take our translate Y and push that over 1 frame. We don't want that. Let's look at our translate Z now. And again, we'll kind of ease in and out of that a little bit more. Let's kind of leaf through that, see if we like that. Gives a little bit of an arc to it when we do it that way though. A wrap around. I think I'll leave it being a little more consistent. And let's look at the bottom here. Set that there. here, we'll get a little bit stretching there, squashing up there. Let's go and bring that down a little bit. Maybe we can go 1 frame sooner. Let's look at it now. Zoom it out again. Let's look at it now. I think we should have it dip down a little bit again there. There we go. So you get that little bit of stretch down, squash up. And let's grab this guy. Let's have it go down there. Let's look at it now. I think we could probably recoil a little bit more on the top here. A little bit more down. Okay. Just checking the spacing there. We'd like it to be tight at the top of that arc, so that could probably even be a little bit higher. So we'll go ahead and push that up just a little bit, just so our spacing's a little bit better. Let's look at it now. So you get that hang time in the air a little bit more there. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the next one here. So again, we want this to be there. And we want to bring it down there. Probably zero it out by that one. And be back to 0. Again, 30. Stretch it out a little bit there. And let's look at the top here. next one here. Let's grab the bottom key at 34, bring it down a little bit there so we're dragging a little bit as we get up there. And it zeroes out 42. Let's stretch down to 41. And let's look at the top here. Set that. Down and bring it back up to 0. And let's look at it overall again. You kind of got that boop, 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 boop. I always like to do sound effects to my animation. I feel like it always helps me with my timing. That's one little, for myself, I found it was a good key to help me lock down timing. If you can make the sound effects and the animation lines up to those sound effects that you make yourself, and you can be horrible at it, it doesn't matter. But I always found that helps me lock in my timing, so maybe that'll help you guys too. It's like boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop. You know, just simple little sound effects, but it helps you with your timing and making sure that your animation's kind of lined up to what you have in your head for how you want it to work. Or it really works well if you get a dialogue shot, because you know you have to hit those certain points in your timing there as well. So let's see if we can't do a little bit of side to side here. No. That won't work. I was thinking we could do a little bit of rumble around the middle. Doesn't seem like we can. And there's no real, unless we leave the nerve curves on, there's nothing that's really going to show if we do some rotation, so we have to figure out how we can give it a little bit of life in the beginning. So let's take everything that we have and we'll go ahead and save our file. Let's give us about 8 more frames to work with in the beginning, give it a little bit of character there. So that pushes back to about 56 or so. Make sure we reset our timing back to not 23. Let's go. We have 58. I think is what we ended on. Yeah. Let's go and save our file. We want to do some anticipation or some build up here, so let's see what we can try. Hold beginning to about there. Let's look at that now. Let's set that and give us about 4 more frames to hold that last little bit. Should push us back to about 62. Cool. This is where we could do a layered approach here and keep what we have and then do a little bit of up and down on a separate layer, but let's keep it for what we have right now and see if we can do a little bit of like reverberation here. So let's grab the translate wise and we'll keep that. Keep that. Keep that. Keep that. I'll do a little bit of up and down there. Let's see if that would work. Let's see. So you see there's a little bit of movement. We'll probably make it a little bit bigger. And let's go ahead and give us another 6 frames in here, and we'll do one more little bounce. And that should push back to about 68. Close enough. And let's look at the translate Y again here. 15 to 26. Keep that and we'll go 3 frames, keep that. 3 frames, keep that. 3 frames, keep that. There we go, that one. Then we can do a little bit of bouncy reverberation there. Let's try that now. So you see there's that little whoop whoop. Just have that a little bit of character in there. And then let's make this last one really snap. So I'll have it key that. Give me 2 frames and we'll pop up. And okay, let's go 75. And we'll 0 back down. So let's see. It's maybe 1 frame too long. Push it sooner 1 frame. Maybe 1 frame later. Maybe not so far down. I like that level. We can do a little bit more zeroed out. Maybe it's a little too much. Tone it down. But it just gives that little bit of character to the ball. It's always good whenever you can add a little bit of life or character or something so that it's gives it some personality. Makes it so that otherwise it would just be one little ball. And this way we got a little bit of like some character in this guy. He's really revving up. Boink, boink, boink. Ta-da! We could even have it just go here and then back to 0. And then hold that for a couple of frames and then do the kind of ta-da, which would mix up our timing a little bit more. We'd have to almost do nothing for about 4 frames and then do it. So let's see. Would it read right though, or would it read as a hiccup? Let's see. And readability is important. If you don't know what readability is, that's so that somebody watching it would be able to tell what it is without a lot of thought or going over it or staring at it for a while to understand it. To give you an example, like if you have kids, or if you have nieces and nephews, or if you have younger children, you work with younger children or whatever, they might bring a drawing to you, and unless they're really phenomenal or they're doing something pretty basic, usually you have to look at it for a while, and then you can guess sometimes what it is, but a lot of times you have to go, oh, that's so nice, what is it? Because the readability isn't there. It doesn't matter. There's an interesting thing on Andreas Deja's blog about a week ago, Deja Vu, Deja Vu, I believe, that was talking about clean and crisp drawings versus more scribbly drawings, and he gave a lot of examples. It's a beautiful blog post. Go check his stuff out. But what he was talking about was that it isn't always important to really lock down and have these precise line works. Sometimes there's more energy and more life in the more scribbled out stuff, or the stuff that's got a little bit of tension or a little bit of grit in there. But the key is, in any sort of successful drawing, is the point coming across? Is it readable? And that not to get worried about style or line work or line quality or line weight or any of that kind of stuff. And this can apply to animation as well, of course, to 3D animation. But the methodology doesn't really matter. What matters is the point coming across, is the idea coming across, is it clear, can someone understand it? And it's okay to have complex ideas, but you want them to be able to be understood. So that's kind of what I was talking about here. So do we want to see if we get this, then the ta-da moment, is it going to feel like it just dies and then goes into it? Let's see. First of all, we need another frame there. And then I think we really need to exaggerate that a lot more. Go a little bit more. Maybe we'll hold it for a couple of frames. indentation for that as well. So about a little bit of dip. I feel like we need to hold that for a little bit longer. That's feeling closer. And let's overshoot that a little more. It's not holding enough now. Let's see. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Ta-da! Ta-da! Maybe 2 more frames. What would be interesting is if I could grab one of these guys and treat it like a middle here. So let's set that there. Raise it up here. I'll scale it in. Darn. I was thinking we can treat it like almost a belly kind of a thing here. Nope. Suppose we could just do a see. Maybe we could do just scale X and Z. Let's hold that for a little bit longer here. And delay it a couple of frames. Let's keep that. Keep that. That way we can get kind of a belly kind of an idea here. Let's look at it now. Let's hold that for about 2 more frames. There we go. Ta-da! Okay. Let's see. It'd be nicer if we could taper the bottom. Maybe we could scale top up a little bit here. There we go, that would work. And then go back. Get kind of that trophy pose. 2 more frames of this hold here. Really get that position on. And I think we cut 1 frame out of there as well. Make it really blast into that pose. Ta-da! And maybe give us 108 for a little bit more recoil. So grab the top. A little bit higher. And back down. And that should actually be probably about 1 frame sooner. So we really get that 1 frame sooner on that. It's a little bit quicker. And 0 off. We'll have 1 more little recoil. And push that back to about 111 and let it be there so we get our timing a little bit better. And then maybe 1 more frame here. To really get that idea that it's almost done, and then we get that little acting beat there, and then a recoil. And let's look at the translate Y here. It feels just like it's a little bit quick for some reason. Maybe we'll overshoot that a little bit. And let's go ahead and give it this about 1 more frame. Hold on 1 second here. Okay, sorry about that. I think maybe 1 more frame here. There we go. Let's get rid of that frame that we're putting. Feels like it's just too long to get into that other part. Alright, I think that works out okay. So let's turn our curves off. Let's go ahead and create a new camera here. And create a polygon primitives cube, just so we have a background color here. to it. Let's put a Lambert on there. And let's do kind of a muted green. Let's look back to our perspective. Okay, push this back in, translate X behind what we're looking for. Scale it up in Y, scale it up in Z. And let's look here. And let's zoom in a little bit more. Just trying to get a better layout here. Don't want it to be too close to the edge there, so I think that was probably a good layout there to go with. And just a different, interesting back color than the usual kind of grayish blue that's the default one. So let's take a look back at where we started. We're looking at the beautiful illustration work of Zdenek Burian. And of course, I'm probably butchering that name. Let me know in the comments down below. But he has a great quote, and that was, you know, a painter, as well as an actor, must be able to experience all the adventure of his drawings in his imagination. If he wants to paint a horse that swims the rapids, he must be on that horse for a while. And I think that's a great quote. It's all about using the power of your imagination to really envision what you want to create before you even get down to the drawing table or in front of the keyboard or whatever it is that you are using for your medium. But use the thing that you're innately born with, and that's the wonderful imagination and all those great experiences and people that you've interacted with and thoughts that you've had to really inform your work and make it creative and uniquely you. So that being said, I love you guys lots. If you're watching this, you are the creative future. Thanks again for all the likes and subscribes and comments. You guys are amazing. Keep pursuing your journey every day. And I think that'll do it for today. So we'll see you for some more animation tomorrow.